Hey guys, Aaron Cybertron Zane here, and today I'm really excited to be doing a quick summary / recap video on some of the most important information and announcements that came out from Pokemon today regarding Sun and Moon and the VGC 2017 season. So there are basically a couple of main points I'm going to break down in this video. Hopefully you find it helpful. Please leave a like if you do and share it with anyone who may be interested in getting into VGC. And if you have no idea what VGC is but want to compete in the real life circuit next year, check out my introduction to VGC video that I made a couple of weeks ago. That's linked in the description below. But without further ado, let's just jump into it. There are two main links that I'll be talking through in this video, so if you want to follow along, check out the description or check out the links in the description below. So first of all, we now know what our format is for VGC 2017 as per Pokemon. Of course, we will be switching to the rule set on December 1st now, as opposed to January 1st, and that's because there's some big events in December, and we really want to just, hype up Sun and Moon and see what competitions are like right from the start, so that's going to be an exciting time. You may be wondering, what is the VGC 2017 rule set? Basically, to summarize, it's going to be double battle still, no difference from previous years. You have to compose your team using only Pokemon found in the Alola regional Pokédex that have also been caught in Pokemon Sun and Moon. So what does that exactly mean? One, Alola Pokédex, the regional Pokédex, will have Pokemon that aren't, only new. So back in Gen 5, VGC 2011, all the Pokemon that we used were from the Unova Pokédex, and those were all new Pokemon. But in 2014, when we used the Kalos Pokédex, there were a lot of new Pokemon, but also a lot of old Pokemon. Pokemon like Garchomp, Gardevoir, Pachirisu, all of those were on the World Championship winning team. Those were all Pokemon that had existed before, but were also in the Pokédex. So this year is very similar to 2014 in the sense that they have to be from the Alola regional Pokédex. So that means all the new Pokemon, but also there will be obviously a lot of old Pokemon that will be allowed. The other main point is that they have to be caught or bred in Sun and Moon. So this is similar to 2014, where it was like, okay, let's say I have a Scizor from, Oris or X and Y. I can't use that Scizor even if it's in the Alola regional Pokédex because it wasn't bred or caught in Sun and Moon. So I'd have to transfer it over and then rebreed it or recatch it. And so that can be a little bit frustrating at first, but it is what it is, and I understand why they've done that. It's similar to 2014 basically, where or the last 3 years where the Pentagon rule was in effect, and so this is no different. So everyone's gonna have to breed and catch a lot right when the games come out, but afterwards it should be a little bit easier. Another couple of main points in the rule set: some legendary Pokemon will not be allowed, including the two main cover ones. Mythical Pokemon will also not be allowed. I will say that this doesn't mean all legendary Pokemon are banned. Back in 2014 and 2011, there were only a couple legendary Pokemon that were allowed. Some of them weren't even that good, but say 2014, Zapdos was allowed, Articuno and Moltres were also allowed. The latter two weren't really used that much, Zapdos was used. And so we could still see maybe one or two legendary Pokemon having an impact, but not nearly as much, obviously, as this last year, which was very legendary intensive, especially because it allowed restricted legendary Pokemon. So very similar to basically the 2014 rule set, but this is the biggest point. Pokemon will no longer be allowed to hold Mega Stones, so Mega Evolutions no longer allowed. However, you will be able to hold the Z Crystals, so you can still use the new and powerful Z moves. And so that's actually such a big point. And I'm not sure, if you haven't played VGC before 2014, Mega's really changed the game. I'm not sure necessarily for the better or for the worse, but basically it felt like it moved us a little bit backwards because Pokemon seemed like they were trying to get rid of the power creep from Gen 5 to Gen 6 because we saw a lot of strong moves, get their base power decreased, like Draco Meteor. We also saw the gems being removed from the game, so it seemed like Pokemon was like, okay, we want to make it less hyper offensive. But then Megas came out, and some Megas were just so good. Kangaskhan, Mawile, Charizard, Gardevoir, all in 2015, and then this year, Rayquaza added to that mix. And so it made team building a little bit less interesting because every team basically had to have one of these super, super powerful Megas. Now, that's not part of the format anymore. I'm personally glad to see it banned because 2012 and 2013 were two of my favorite formats, and there was just so much creativity in team building those years. And so I think it's a good move, and I'm really excited to see how it plays out. I think 2014 also would have been really interesting if you get rid of Megas in that year. So really, really cool move personally, and I like that a lot. So that basically summarizes the rule set. In case you're confused, to summarize, double battles has to be in the Alola Pokédex, has to be caught in Sun and Moon or bred in Sun and Moon, and no Megas are allowed anymore, but Z Crystals and Z moves are allowed. So that's basically the first main point. Get ready to play that rule set because we'll be switching to it right on December 1st. The even cooler thing is you can actually practice the rule set right when Sun and Moon come out. So this is the second main point. There is now a dedicated VGC ladder on Battle Spot. And that's actually a really big deal because in 2014 and 2016, we actually didn't have a VGC rule set on BattleSpot around the whole year. And basically in those years, the special rule set was the rule set that you would choose to play VGC, but the special rule set rotated. So right before Worlds this year, actually, the special rule set changed, and so you couldn't even practice 2016 in-game on the online ladder right before Worlds this year. And the double ladder didn't match the same rule set as VGC in 2014 and 2016. So that was really frustrating. I know I was really frustrated because it meant content creation was a little bit harder, especially making videos. This now means that there will be a VGC or a championship battle format the entire time, and so that's really, really good, and you'll be able to jump on that right once Sun and Moon come out. So you can be playing the VGC format on the first day. Decent chance I'll be, I'll have a team and I'll be going for it basically a couple days in, so stay tuned for that. Should be really exciting. A great move by Pokemon, should have been done a while ago, and I'm glad it's finally been implemented. So that's the second main point. Third main point, there is now a new timer system. So this season, a timer similar to the chess clock has been implemented. Now, I don't want to talk too much about this in the sense that we don't know full information yet, and I don't want to misinform you guys, but basically, to my understanding, now instead of the game relying on both you and your opponent for the timer, your timer and the moves you make kind of don't affect your opponent and the moves they make. So previously, say VGC this year, there was a set time limit of 15 minutes, and even if I made my moves in 5 seconds, my opponent could take the full 45 seconds, and that would make no difference. It would just drag the game on, and now it's like, it seems like this is kind of a strategy to make timer stall kind of less viable. And even though timer stall has been legal and it's fine, it's still something that I think makes people, it doesn't make games very fun to watch, I think, for a lot of people. And so it's good that Pokemon's kind of trying to move away from that. And so, now you have to manage your time a little bit more carefully, especially because you have 10 minutes basically throughout the entire course of the game. We don't know whether those include animations or not. We don't know whether there's an overall time clock. And so I'm still waiting on that, but this should be really interesting and should change kind of how we play VGC. Not too much to an extent, but now, you want to make your moves a little bit quicker, and it kind of rewards smart decisions made in a quicker time period. So basically, here's a quick summary of the VGC 2017 format. As I mentioned earlier, Sun and Moon, double battles, Alola Pokedex, Megas gone, Z Crystals allowed, some legendaries and mythicals are banned, and then 10-minute player system. So that basically breaks down everything that came out from this article on Pokemon.com. These points are expanded further on this Pokemon Sun and Moon website, so, I'm just going to skim through here and point out some of the main points. A bunch of it have been covered already, but there are 3 really other cool points I want to talk about. So here, obviously, special rule set, and then championship battle, so VGC rules on the Pokemon BattleSpot, which is phenomenal. Timer system mentioned earlier, basically kind of what I talked about, and it actually breaks it down a little bit more here, right? So when using this method of time accounting, players will have a maximum of 60 seconds each turn to select a move. They'll also be rewarded 10 minutes of your time. Under these rules, if you run out of the 10 minutes before the battle ends, you lose the match. So if you're taking an absurdly long time each turn, then, obviously the chances of the game ending on your end are a little bit higher, and you could just lose the game from that. So this means that battles will be decided more quickly, and it should allow for more thrilling battles, and I think that's a pretty cool move. And so I'm really excited to see how that plays out. We're gonna have to wait more, obviously, until official information, but yeah. So this is the next main point I wanted to talk about, which is battling with other players' Pokemon. It's kind of like a rental team system. So in Sun and Moon, you can register Pokemon that you often use in your team. So let's say I win a regionals, right? And I have a team. I can register that team, and it actually, when I register it, it creates a QR code. And so let's say you're interested in trying out this team that I've been using. All you have to do is scan that QR code, and now you're able to just try out my team. So without, actually having to build it and test it in game, you're able to try out a team before you actually, fully dedicate to breeding it. And, previously on Showdown, that was our only main method of kind of practicing and trying this out. But now this allows kind of a new feature, and I think it's really cool because it allows for top players and anyone really to share their teams more publicly, and you can bet that I'm going to be using this feature a ton. Probably, Road to Rank is obviously going to return for VGC 2017. Players always ask, like, oh, what's your team? What's your pace bid? And sometimes, I just either don't want to reveal it, or, I just want to, don't put it up. Now this will allow me to just literally make a team, try it on, show you guys the team, and then let you guys try it out yourself with the QR code. So this breaks it down more in depth, but it's really, really cool. I didn't really think Pokemon would do something like this, but I think it's a great feature. And, you know, the last line, you may even be able to try battling using the Pokemon of expert players, like the victors of the World Championships. Unfortunately, I'm not a victor of the World Championship, but, you know, you can still try out my team. So, really excited. You can bet that I'll be using this feature a ton. Really, really cool. And I like the little pun here with Chalk and the 2015 Worlds team. So, those are the main points. There are two other small points here. You're able to host your own friendly competitions, which is really, really cool. It's been, you know, constructed, and it'll allow you to become a competition host, and you can hold online competitions. I might actually hold some competitions on my channel in the future and give out some prizes, so stay tuned for that. Also a really cool feature because these are online, and so really, really interesting and really fun as well. And the last point, live competitions. Now, basically, if you hold your own live competition, you use a QR code. Previously, for, say, regionals and nationals and worlds at VGC, they need you to basically lock your battle box through a specific software that they had. Now, with live competitions and QR codes, it's a little bit different, so it should make tournament organizing a little bit easier. And that should be really cool, especially when it comes to organizing grassroots events. And so, that's basically it for all the announcements. All in all, I have so many positive things to say about all of this. I think it's just really good, and you know, I keep on saying, like, Sun and Moon, this really might be the final, like, the thing that breaks a competitive Pokemon and takes it to the next level, and each announcement, it just, like, furthers that thought, and so I'm really excited. It's awesome that we already know what format we'll be playing under, and it should just be a really, really fun time. So, that's basically it for this video. Hopefully you guys found it helpful. Leave a like if you do, and I'll see you guys soon with more Sun and Moon content. Alright.